going on? So, I got this question today, and I understand that it's going to sound like I'm calling this person specifically out, but this is now going to be a generic video that whenever I get this kind of comment, I am going to send to that person, and I think that's what my videos are becoming. It's just generic questions that I get all the time, and I have like a response that I want to say every single time, and a lot of the time I will just type that in, until eventually I get so much of it that I just want to make a video about it, and then I can just send that whenever I get this type of comment. So, the comment in question is, I have a Genie, Dryad, Harley, Trapper, Priestess, and it's a 50-50 win rate. I also have Inquisitor, Demon Hunter, Blade Dancer, and Frost. Free to play. Any suggestions? I can't tell you how many variations of this comment I see all the time. If you go onto the Discord and you look up PvP decks, this is every person's comment. If you go onto the Rush Royale Reddit, this is every person's comment. And then if you go into anybody's YouTube video that does Rush Royale content, this will be more than likely some variation of this comment is in there. For this person, I am going to give you my immediate YouTube answer. But the reason why this video is so long is because that's my real answer. So if all you care about is my, my YouTube persona answer, I will give you that. But then if you feel like staying, and you feel like understanding my real answer and my reasonings for it, that is why this video is so long. Because I know that it's going to be a very long video, because I have a very long explanation. Genie, Dryad, Harley, Trapper, Priestess. I'm assuming that the reason why you said Priestess is because that is your actual deck. I'm also assuming that all of these levels are reasonably the same, something like a level 9 or below, because you didn't add in your levels. I think that Genie, Dryad, Harley, Trapper is incredibly strong. Priestess is the only the thing that is not doing anything for you. I think that Blade Dancer is my go-to answer for anybody starting. I think that Blooming Dash Blade Dancer, because the fact that it forces you to run Trapper, it forces you to run Portal Keeper, and Portal Keeper is going to allow you to get rid of negative effects. I think that people undervalue the usefulness of Portal Keeper, and so I would normally suggest a Blooming Dash Blade Dancer deck, because it forces you to run Portal Keeper, and then Blooming Dash itself, it gives you increasing damage over the course of the game, and so you will be able to push with the waves, and then when the waves or when the bosses when you start running into like King Puddings or Dark Priests, you will be able to get rid of those immediately because of Portal Keeper. And then if you run into a person who is very early in the game, more people run Shaman and Witch as their like way to win, because it's their quote unquote toxic decks, or like, you know, new school, like beginner toxic decks, and people tend to win with those because they take advantage of the fact that most people don't have any way of curing. And if you're running Blooming Dash Blade Dancer, you'll be able to automatically beat those decks, because then those just become dead cards. And I would normally suggest that, but because you have Genie, Genie has a lot of beginner potential, and so even like low-level Genie is just really good right now. If you ran Blooming Dash Genie, which is just Genie, Dryad, Harley, Trapper, and then you run a Portal Keeper, I'm pretty sure you could probably beat more people than probably with your Blade Dancer. Genie is just really broken right now, and even at low levels, I think it's very strong. If you just run a Portal Keeper, I think that deck is fine. That's my YouTube answer. My YouTube answer is take out Priestess, put in Portal Keeper, you're fine. I have an extended answer, and here's my extended answer to everybody that writes this type of comment. Why are you trying to push PvP? I feel like PvP is promoted in this game in the way that it's promoted in every game. Like if you're playing like Call of Duty, I want to play online against other players, right? That's like the thing in this type of game. I want to play against other players, and PvP is that format, and it's the constant format that this game promotes. Like, oh, play PvP, right? There is almost no reason to play PvP other than to make you. It's designed to make you mad that you're not better. That's all PvP is. And it is promoted as the game's primary mode because, you only get 5 co-ops, right? You only get 5 co-ops, so that's not the real mode. And tournament, there's 3 battles there, and that's not a real mode. PvP, you can play all the time. You can play it all the time. This is the main mode. This is the team deathmatch of Rush Royale, right? PvP, to me, is the most useless mode. And there are benefits to PvP, and I will go into those. But let me start this conversation with, I'm going to try to dissuade you from playing PvP. Going back to this comment, you listed no levels. So I have no idea what levels you are. What levels of each of these you are. You say that you're free to play, and most people that write this comment, they say that they're free to play. Free to play. I think free to play is an overused term. If you have spent any money in this game, you are not free to play. You can't say that you're free to play. Oh, but I only buy the premium pass once a month. I'm free to play, but I just buy the event pass. Or I'm free to play, but I have bought this thing. If your free to play ends in a but, and you have to say, oh, I'm free to play, but this, you're not free to play anymore. Because free to play means free to play. If you buy the premium pass every month, you are technically not free to play because now you have access to Book of Secrets. If you don't, a Book of Secrets, the difference between a true free to play player and a not free to play, I buy the premium pass player is 3 upgrades. No, more than that. Because you get 2 a month, or every 2 months, you get a free upgrade. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. You have 6 upgrades a year. You have 6 free upgrades. If you buy the premium pass every month for a year, you will get 6 free upgrades. You can take any unit from whatever level it is, up 6 levels. If you take the same unit up 6 levels, even if you never upgraded that unit ever within that year, you could take a level 7 legendary to a level 13. If you are actually free to play, you're only getting 1 page of secrets per month, which means that, if you get 1 page of secrets per month, it would take you 6 months to get 1 book of secrets. You are getting 2 upgrades a year. And so a free-to-play player would go from a level 7 to a level 9. The difference between a 9 and a 13 is insane. With no upgrades, with no other further investment into the same unit, the difference between a 9 over the course of a year and a 13 is insanity. Even if you just buy the premium pass, you are no longer a free-to-play player, and you cannot say that. But most people, they say that. They like saying that they are free to play, but they just buy the premium pass. What they mean is they don't spend hundreds of thousands of dollars. I don't spend hundreds of thousands of dollars. I just spend hundreds of dollars. But even that, let's say you are free to play. That would assume that most of these cards are level 7s, level 9s, but you also didn't give me any of these levels. The difference between a level 15 Inquisitor and a level 7 Genie would change this question. Most people, whenever they write this kind of comment, they don't give you levels. They don't give you specific levels. I'm going to show you why this comment is impossible to answer. 1, I don't have any of the levels for any of these cards. 2, this game is not just solely based on cards. It's not just, I have a Demon Hunter and an Enchant Sword and a Chemist and a Dryad and a Scrapper. I have all of these cards. What's the best deck, right? If I just gave you a list of, I have all the legendaries, what's the best deck? You would say Riding Hood. Okay, well, my Riding Hood is a level 8. Right? I have a level 15 Blade Dancer, but I also have a level 15 Spirit Master. Right? But I don't have a max level Witch. So maybe that's not the best deck. I understand like my cards, and my Spirit Master deck is my best deck. But if I told you I have all of these cards, right? What's the best deck? You would say Riding Hood, you would say Genie. But like that also doesn't account for where I am in PvP, right? There are so many factors, and there are so many cards. There are 67 cards in this game, and each of them have the ability to go from 7 to 15, and each of those cards has the ability to have 3 separate talents, depending on what level they're at. But also depending on whether or not you've unlocked that talent. You could have a level 13, but if you haven't unlocked the 13 talent, then it's not really it's not that 13. So that would also be misinformation. If you had a Demon Hunter that was a level, a 13, but you only had Absorption of Evil unlocked because you haven't invested in it and you didn't have the magic cores, then that's a very different question. I would say that Demon Hunter is very good, but if you only have the first talent unlocked, or if you have no talents unlocked, then that would change the question, right? This also doesn't account for your heroes or your hero levels. A lot of people will then say, I have Gadget and Trainer and Mermaid, and what would you suggest? What do I use? Well, I don't know your levels. You could have a level 20 Gadget and a level 1 Mermaid, and I will say Mermaid because Mermaid cures things. But then if you say like, I only have a level 2 Mermaid, but I have a level 20 Gadget, I would just be like, well, then just use Gadget, but then use Portal Keeper because you have to cleanse. I also don't know what your equipment looks like, because equipment also plays a factor into this game. I don't know if you have counter spells on your equipment, because if you have counter spells on your equipment, then maybe you don't need to run Mermaid, at which point you can run Gadget. But maybe you don't have counter spells on your stuff, and maybe the level 1 Mermaid is probably better because at the very least it gives you some amount of protection, because you have to defend against negative effects. Because if you just die because of negative effects, you will not survive double bosses. You will not survive triple bosses. You will die so much earlier than you should because you just died to King Pudding, or you just died to Dark Priest, and you didn't want to merge out that unit. Like, there are so many factors. What is your crit percentage? If you haven't been upgrading, there are so many cards to upgrade. There are so many commons, rares, and epics to upgrade. What is your crit percentage? I have a level 15 Demon Hunter, but I keep dying because I have 1500 crit, right? Which is entirely possible. Like the aforementioned, you can upgrade a card from 7 to 13 with no investment if you just buy the premium pass every single month for a year and you call yourself free to play. you could theoretically, if you never upgraded your cards, you could have 1500 crit and a max Demon Hunter. It's not actually as impossible as some people think. You could know that a Demon Hunter is one of the best cards, and you could just full invest for a year, don't upgrade your cards, and you could have 1500 crit and have a max Demon Hunter. I could totally see how that could happen. But if you have 1500 crit, and you're questioning, I have a max Demon Hunter, why am I not pushing harder in PvP? That's why. It's because you're not upgrading your cards to get higher crit. Your crit percentage is directly connected to how much damage you are able to deal. You will deal more damage if you have more crit percentage, or crit damage. But all of this is to say, these are actually all of the factors. Most people will just say, this is my deck, these are my cards, make me a deck, make me better. And this is all under the assumption that at the very least, you're above 4,000, that you have all cards unlocked, that you're in the regular form of PvP, and that you're not in the arenas. You're not in this area. If you're in this area, my advice is just keep playing the game. Just keep playing the game, change your decks, understand what works, understand what doesn't work. Just keep playing the game. Try different combinations. That entire period is discovery. If you can't get past this area of the arenas into 4,000, you're probably going to hate the rest of this game. Because this game is about deck building, and it's about learning how to deck build. It's about learning why something works and why something doesn't work. And if you upgrade this card, is it better in your deck, or should you just completely take it out because it's not good at all? It's about discovery. The entire idea of this game is playing the game. It's about trying different things. It's about figuring out what works and what doesn't for you. It's about figuring out what type of deck you like. Do you like playing toxic decks? Or do you realize why toxic decks are not that great anymore? Do you like playing this specific legendary? Do you like the Inquisitor kind of build where you have to use a Scrapper? Do you like a Blade Dancer build? Which kind of Blade Dancer once you get to a level 9 talent? Do you like just playing units and then powering them up with Demon Hunter? And then just leaving them on the field where you don't need to have specific positions. You can just play them and then upgrade them and then that's it. Do you like the mechanic of a bruiser where you have to merge near them so that they get more powerful? All of these questions, a person on YouTube cannot answer for you. You have to just play this game to understand what works for you. And then if you are in this area, so for most people, they will be in the 4,000 plus area. And if your question is, I have these cards, make me a deck, I would first ask you why. Why do you want to play PvP? And I feel like the answer to that is because that's what this game is. This game is PvP. Because like I said before, this game is very heavily promoted to be a PvP game, and I feel like it doesn't have to be. But let's assume that you want to play PvP because that's what you want to do. I would suggest that there are 3 separate thresholds for you to beat. 1, the reason why you play PvP is to get this legendary at 5225, this legendary at 6225, and this legendary at 6950. Those are your thresholds that you should aspire to. And if you want to go beyond that, I'm not going to say that it's pay to play. Or I'm sorry. I'm not going to suggest that it's pay to win, because even if you were to spend money into this game, all you are doing is saving time. You can free to play your way to the top reasonably. You can reasonably free to play your way pretty high. You will probably not go overly high. And at that point, it's going to start feeling like it's pay to win. This game is not pay to win. It's pay to play better people. And I've said this numerous times in a bunch of different videos. This game is not pay to win. It is pay to play better people. I have spent a large quantity of money on this game, and these are my cards. And I've been playing this game for, I want to say, 3 years now. At the very least, I'm pretty sure it's been at least 3 years. I have reasonable cards, and you can look at my cards and be like, you know, you should be winning everything. I'm telling you right now, my only thing that I aspire to now is 62.25. I used to try to push for the 69.50 or the 69.20 chest, and I don't do it anymore. I don't do it anymore because it's just way too hard. Everybody in that area has max everything. Not only so a max DPS card, you're just your main attacker, having a max level like Demon Hunter, a max level Genie, a max level Riding Hood, right? That will push you pretty far, but it will not push you all the way. Because now, not only do you have to have a max DPS card, you have to have 4 max support cards. You have to have a max Dryad, a max Summoner, a max Witch, a max Knight Statue, a max Enchant Sword. You also need legendary equipment. You need a Spear. You need a Growth Tile. You need a Mage Robe. You need a max Hero. Probably not a Mermaid. Probably not a Gadget. You need a max Zeus. You need a max Necromancer. You need a max Mermaid. You need a max Mari. You need so many max things in order to get to that 69.50 trophy. And it's very difficult to push into that if you don't have max things. I used to play Magic the Gathering, and somebody gave me a really cool quote that I can use everywhere. And he said, "You don't have to have the best deck, but you do have to have the best version of the deck that you're running." So there will always be a meta, and you don't have to have the meta. But if you want to run a Demon Hunter deck, Demon Hunter is also kind of meta. If you want to run an Inquisitor deck, you have to have a max Inquisitor and a max Knight Statue and a max Scrapper and a max Dryad. You have to have all of these things at max, because you don't have to have a Riding Hood deck, but at the very least, if you're going to run an Inquisitor deck, you should probably have the max version of that deck. And if you want to play PvP, I would suggest to understand which threshold is easy for you to reach, because anything beyond that, you're probably not going to. And that's okay. Because like I said, this game is not a I'm gonna win all the time game. Because that's what PvP promotes. And like I said earlier, PvP is designed to make you dislike this game. It's designed to make you always feel like you're not doing good enough. Because you will keep pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing, and then at some point you will hit a wall. And that wall is going to fucking annoy you. Because you will look at your cards and you will beat, you will win a bunch of times. You will win 6 games in a row, and then all of a sudden you lose every single game now. And that is going to make you question what's wrong with my deck. How come I'm not pushing harder? And I need to go write a YouTube comment. These are my cards. Make me push harder. And I'm telling you right now, there are so many factors in this game that are preventing you from pushing any further. And I can't just say, oh, just run this and you'll push farther. Because at a certain point, you can't. And that's just the easy answer. The easy answer is you can't. If you have pushed as hard as you think you can, that's it. Just accept the idea that you can't push harder. Because if you could, you would. I currently have this Spirit Master deck. I have a level 13 Mari, I have a max Spirit Master, a max Inquisitor, I have a max Chemist, I have a level 13, can be a level 14 Scrapper, I have a level 12 Dryad, I have legendary equipment, I have a Mage Robe, a Growth Tile, a Crit Bow, I have Counterspell 2, I have a Counterspell 1, I have a Abundance on my Growth Tile, I have 4,300 crit, almost 4,400. I am sitting right here. Could I push farther? Yeah, probably. But also, it's easier to push farther in PvP at the end of a season. If you go to your Premium Pass, there are 24 days left in this season. If you wait for that to click down to like 10 days, 5 days, and then start playing PvP, you'll have a much easier time. Because that is usually around the time where everybody pushes as hard as they can and they can't push anymore. And that's when you will find easier opponents. Because everybody is where they should be. Because that's how the game is designed. You can only push to where you're supposed to be in this game. With your deck, with your setup, with your crit, with your card levels. That is where you should be. This is not where I should be right now. I should probably be at the 6225, probably even more. Maybe even like 6525, I could probably push to there. Maybe like right before the 6920 trophy, maybe like 6760, I could probably push towards there. And because I can, eventually I can. Eventually I will. But if you can't, there are not a lot of suggestions that I could give you to make you push to 6950. If your question is how do I push to 6920, I'm just as a straight up answer, have max everything. Have a max, top tier legendary card. That's the only easy way to do it. It's also strategy. It's also how you play. It's also your equipment. It's also your hero levels. It's also, there's just so many factors. There isn't one easy answer for how do I get there. Just have max everything. Because if that's what you're saying, that you want to try to push to League 9, just go to the worldwide and look at League 9. Just look at these decks. This is what's required. If that is your actual, your goal, this is what's required. Can you beat these decks? Because this is what you're going to face when you get to League 9. And if you don't think that you can beat these decks, then you're not going to beat these decks. And there's nothing that if you say I have a level 9 Genie, and Genie's the best card. How do I beat a level 15 Genie? You don't have to have the best deck, but you do have to have the best version of your deck. You have to have a max level everything. And this is me saying to you that if you actively want to play PvP and that is your goal in this game, that's what's required. you have to have a max everything. And that's how you push harder. You have to have higher level everything in your deck. My reasoning for these specific thresholds, this 5225, this 6225, and this 6920, the reason why those are my thresholds is specifically because legendaries are the only thing that are going to make your game easier. Obtaining legendaries, it's not any of these other rewards. I never care. I don't even know most of the other rewards. In my mind, those are the 3 thresholds. It's can you get to those 3 thresholds, because you will be getting that many more legendaries per month. And if you can only get to 6225, that's fine. And if you try to push harder and you can't get there and it becomes like not easy, then don't. Just stop playing PvP. There's no specific reason to play PvP other than to get those 3 legendaries. And if you go into worldwide and you look at that league and that league looks scary and that league looks impossible, it's probably because it is. And I feel like there are so many other aspects of this game that will make you not hate this game. But PvP is specifically designed for you to dislike this game. It's specifically designed to make you feel like your deck isn't good enough. And it's going to make you quit. And if you are free to play, there are other ways to play this game free to play that will make you better and that will make you your journey in PvP easier. And one of those is literally just playing co-op all the time and raising your crit percentage and just upgrading your commons, rares, and epics to max level. That is going to do wonders for your PvP experience. Obtaining 3000 crit. 3000 crit is essentially maxing out your commons, rares, and epics and having basically like one of every legendary and having them at like a reasonable level, like a 9. That's like 3000 crit. Like you can look at my 4400 crit and be like, oh my god, that's impossible. 3000 crit is basically commons, rares, and epics maxed. And that's not impossible. The only reason why it probably feels impossible to you is because you don't have the gold. But that is because you're focusing so heavily on PvP, which is what I find, that you don't play co-op. And I find that if you can't, most of these people that say, oh, I want to, push harder in PvP, most of those people cannot solo co-op level 13. And if you want to push harder in PvP, solo co-op level 13. And when I say solo, I don't mean, oh, the other person's going to shaman me. I'm saying like the other person is running their own DPS deck and you're running a DPS deck and you are killing your side of the field. Or if there was no other person, you could beat the level by yourself. I run a Floral Frenzy deck. I run this deck and I beat it every single time. It's not even hard. I can do stuff till round 20 and then not do anything for the rest of the game, and I will beat co-op level 13 by myself if I don't even have another partner. I can literally just play 20 rounds and the other 20 rounds just play itself. If you cannot beat co-op level 13 by yourself, that is probably also why you cannot push harder in PvP. And I feel like people undervalue co-op level 13 because they think that the other person is just going to shaman me and they are going to support me. And if you cannot support yourself and play the game, you're not going to push harder in PvP. Because in a PvP game, nobody is supporting you. Nobody is shamaning you. Well, maybe they are. But they're negatively shamaning you. Nobody is playing clock to speed up your attack. They're playing clock to slow down your attack. If you cannot beat co-op level 13 by yourself because you don't have 2000 crit either, maybe you don't even have 2000 crit and you can't even play co-op level 13. That's another problem. It's because your crit percentage is too low. That's another reason why you're not advancing more in PvP. Co-op is so much more important. Like running 5 co-ops per day, beating level 13, being able to beat level 13 by yourself. That is a sign of a good deck. If you cannot beat co-op level 13 by yourself, you need to work on your deck. You need to play level 12, level 11, but beat it by yourself. Don't let the other person shaman you. Like, tell the other person to run a DPS deck in your clan and beat it by yourself. And if you can't beat it by yourself, fix your deck. Like, play a lesser round. Play level 10. Play level 9. Play level 8. Raising your ability to beat co-op is going to raise your ability to beat PvP. And also, it's going to force you to earn gold, which is going to force you to upgrade your cards in order to get a better crit percentage, in order to advance higher in PvP and in co-op. Until you upgrade all your cards, or at the very least, all of your commons, rares, and epics, PvP is always going to be difficult. And even when you do, PvP is always going to be difficult. Because no matter how many max level everythings you have, no matter your crit percentage, it's always going to you're eventually always going to hit a wall. And eventually you will not be able to push harder until you max out more cards. That's what this game is. That's the name of this game. And if you focus so heavily on PvP and trying to beat everybody, and you get frustrated that you lost a couple games, that's how PvP is designed. It's designed to make you always feel like you need more cards, like you need better cards. That's all PvP is. I would recommend those thresholds that I stated to get those legendaries, because those legendaries are going to help you upgrade your cards. But understand that you shouldn't be getting all 3. That it's going to be incredibly difficult to get that third one. It should be relatively easy to get the first one. It should be moderately difficult to get the second one. It's going to be almost impossible to get that third one. And especially if you're free to play. But that's what I would recommend. Understand that everything matters. Everything is a factor. Understand how impossible it is a question to say, I have these cards, make me a deck. It is an impossible question. Not only is it an impossible question, just based solely on context, not knowing your card levels, not knowing your equipment, not knowing your heroes, not knowing your crit percentage, not knowing your equipment enchantments, not knowing where you are in PvP, not knowing any of these factors. Just giving a YouTuber just a list of like, I have these cards, build me a deck. It's an impossible question. But the real question that I would ask the person is why? Why do you care so much about PvP? Beyond those 3 thresholds that I just named, there is no reason to play PvP. The rewards aren't great, other than the 3 legendaries. And beyond those 3 legendaries, there's no real reason to play PvP. It's specifically designed to frustrate you. And if you want to stay in this game, understand that this game is a grind and you're not going to win all the time. Certainly not in PvP. It's designed to make you lose eventually. It's eventually designed to make you lose. And it's designed that, and you losing is designed, it's specifically supposed to be, it's to make you understand that you can't push harder here, go do something else. But people take that as, oh, I should just, if I just take out Priestess and I put in Portal Keeper, then I'll win. And maybe that might be true. Maybe you'll push a little bit further, but then you'll hit another wall. You'll play a person with a max Genie and a max Dryad and a max Harley Quinn and a max Trapper and a max Portal Keeper, and then you'll lose. And then you'll be like, okay, well, what do I have to do? What do I have to do to beat this person? And there's nothing you can do. At a certain point, there's nothing you can do. And that's why I don't focus all my attention on PvP. I play it the last couple of days of the season pass of the month, and that's it. And I try to get to those thresholds, and if I can't, I don't care. Because if you focus all of your attention on PvP, you're just gonna hate this game. And I wouldn't recommend it. I think there are better things in this game than just PvP.